Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday. It's your Workday Slacker here, and I've got some notes and some summaries for you if you haven't had a chance to watch the James White keynote and the Q&A from the Pro Tour Baltimore. Well, don't fret, I've got you covered. I got 3 pages of notes here. I'm gonna run you through the heaviest hitters, best details, what I think is most important about this. But if you do have the time, I highly recommend you watch both of those videos. The stream is on Mansant's channel, and man, it was a banger. It was a good one. So let's start with the big announcements. Serialized cards. That's right. That's right. Sorry, I don't want to give you any spoilers there, but serialized cards, for whom you might ask. The first announcement was around serialized cards, and they were the original kind of paying homage to the heroes that have come before, the original chain, the original prism sculptor of Arclight. So we've got cold foil, serialized, hand-drawn versions of these cards, 10 of them each. They're going to be in the Dusk Till Dawn booster set, which is a supplemental product, we learned. And these are going to be in all the regions except Asia Pacific. So no APAC, sorry guys, but it's pretty awesome. That's before we get into anything else I wanted to talk about. I think that is probably the most significant announcement in terms of something completely new coming out of Flesh and Blood team. Super cool cards. Those are going to be probably the most sought after cards ever. I mean, look how cool these heroes are. People lost their minds when they just showed the art of these characters. So what else happened? James White opened with thank yous and hell yeahs for everybody. This dude's an absolute class act. I love just watching him talk. He's very passionate. You can tell he's just a chill dude that you want to hang out with. And the trailer for Dusk Till Dawn was top quality. It was really high quality. You can tell they're investing in a lot of these kinds of, different types of assets now that the game has traction. Really, really cool to see that stuff. So what do we talk about? We got the 10th set. We already talked about this, not draftable. What was cool was that this is, people have been asking for more story focus, more lore, and that's exactly what we're getting. So the War of the Monarch is this new umbrella term that we're actually seeing, which is going to play out over the next, for Dusk Till Dawn. It's really the second in a 3-part trilogy, and there apparently is a 12-hour conflict, that happened in Monarch that is continuing in Dusk Till Dawn from Dusk Till Dawn, 12 hours there, that we're going to see play out, that is going to be really a focal point of this, this trilogy. In terms of the heavy hitters for the set itself, we've got 8 legendaries, we've got 56 majestics, and we've got 10 marvels. So that is, I didn't have a chance to see how that stacks up to, previous sets, but if you look at Outside as an example, there was 3 marvels, right? I think there's a lot more marvels in Uprising, but it's definitely going to be, people are going to buy a lot of this. I'm going to buy a lot of this, I think. Pre-release events for this is interesting. So they're going to be doing a week before launch because it comes out on July 14th. So July 7th to July 9th, Friday to Sunday, you are going to be doing the pre-release, which is the War of the Monarch pre-release. And what does that actually give you? We're going to be getting some of the new Prism, which is called Advent of Thrones. They revealed that. We don't know if it's a young hero, an old hero. It looked like it was a young hero, but I think they're probably going to bring back a CC version of that card. And not Chain, but we did see a Shadow Runeblade card called Vincent. So those are going to be the cold foil prizes. It's going to be a Monarch booster draft. So you're going to be basically playing Monarch, drafting. From what James said, it's a awesome limited experience. What else? We got Dusk Till Dawn prize packs for that. So you can get those prize packs a week before launch, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've never actually played any Monarch draft, so that'll be sweet. Quick little thing about championships. So they have national championships. This is one thing I really wanted to call out. There's 20% more countries who are hosting. There are up to 43 countries that are hosting national championships, which is a really good sign for this game. I mean, we can all see that based on the, sales of the cards and the cost of the cards. There are more people interested in the game, but to actually see the countries that are hosting, those are basically hubs, right? So as those countries kind of develop and grow, they're gonna increase the number of players exponentially in those spots. One thing that was really interesting was they're going to be doing a Monarch draft for those kinds of championships, from what I gathered, because the experience that they are referencing that they didn't love was the 6-month uprising period of time, where there was basically uprising was the only draftable latest limited experience that they had. So they're trying to avoid that. So what they talked about with outsiders, there's going to be a good 3 to 4 months of outsiders being out, and people have played a ton of that already. Well, in July, we're going to be starting with the Monarch draft block, and that'll be about 3 or 4 months of that. And then they're going to move to the new set, which is going to be another draftable set after Dusk Till Dawn. So I think that's cool that they're thinking about that. Really cool announcement. They've got a world championship in the City of Europe 2023. Just kidding. TBD. We're going to find out where that actually is going to happen. But I think that's awesome that they're going to be doing a world championship. And it's going to be in Europe, some city with bright lights and, fun times, as James said. And that was the end of the official announcements. So what did I think? What do I actually feel about this? I think this was an incredible thing to be able to watch. So my advice for LSS, and I don't know if everyone felt the same way, but stream and record these events officially. Mansant, you did an awesome job. But, if you're sick one day and you got to call in backup, I really would have been sad if I missed it. It felt really cool to be part of this family, this community, whatever you want to call it, this deranged group of gamers. I really, really liked seeing that, and I want to keep seeing that. So, and the other thing I really like, the way that James kind of presents and thinks about all these problems and challenges, is they're very focused. So I like that. Keep the focus. Don't apologize for taking time. I think a lot of people, you can see any video that gets posted these days, there's a comment at the bottom that's like, when is PvE coming? Just ignore all that. It doesn't matter. PvE is coming. It'll come when it's ready. We're going to get to it. Now, for those of you who are sticking around, this is 7 minutes in. I'm sure most of you have left already, 6 or 7 minutes in. But I had some thoughts. There was a really, really good Q&A panel afterwards, which, those that know the real story's in the comments. I feel like the real story was in the Q&A session. So, really quick, we're going to fly through these rapid fire. These are all quotes. Anything that's in quotes is basically something that James has kind of hinted at or said verbatim. So someone asked about Kasai. He said, hang tight on Kasai. People love Kasai. There's more Kasai coming for sure. This Sunday, we are going to see more about Dusk Till Dawn. And we're actually going to see the female Runeblade, which is Vincent. It'll be on FABTCG. They're going to show you the marble this Sunday. Someone asked about mechanologists, and James said, mechanologists will do some cool shit in the future. So that's pretty cool. Now, James also talked about, cards and fatigue being a viable strategy in the game. And I think this is kind of, if you want to take a peek into the creator's mind, how does he think about it? Health total and threat density. These are the two kinds of things that he's kind of, from my perspective, that he's keeping that are a balance. You basically can't run out of health, but you also have to keep your threats up. So definitely, part of the way that you're supposed to build a game. Fatigue is not a cop-out strategy. Fatigue also needs to be carefully designed. So someone asked about Codex of Frailty, and they're fully aware that it's a great card. It was supposed to be a good card. Rangers have been struggling for so long. Throw them a frickin' bone. Thanks, James. I agree. Don't let them suffer. Talking about Spectra, how it's a shitty experience for new players, and that's why they're kind of going to avoid the Spectra keyword for a while. In terms of new player adoption, I love that they're thinking about different ways to get people in cheap as chips, as James White would say. Pre-constructed versus pre-constructed events. That is Blitz decks versus Blitz decks. So you walk into a store, you pay $10, instead of getting booster packs, you just get a Blitz deck, or you have your own, you can just play that. And I think that's a really good idea, because then, you can really see the power of the Blitz decks. You can try them out. You can really kind of get an idea. I feel like immediately what people do when they buy these is they start swapping out and tinkering, and that's fine, but it's kind of neat to try and pilot the out-of-the-box decks. People asked about digital options. What is going on in the digital realm for Flesh and Blood? Well, the exciting thing, I think this is another really cool adoption tool, is that they have an interactive learn to play app that's coming in 4 to 6 weeks. Could be a little bit longer, but that's, James kind of said it's on the horizon. So thinking about those digital experiences to get people in, but ultimately I like this focus. The digital onboarding tools are to support the in-person play. We're not making a Talishar sponsored by Flesh and Blood. Talishar is cool though. This news is super exciting for me. Dusk Till Dawn has a Dorinthia specialization. They confirmed that warrior picture with the sash is not Dorinthia. It's probably not Kasai, but the good news is Dorinthia is going to get some specialization, so that's awesome. This is just a little thing that I noticed. The designer who's joined the team, Brian, you can tell that James has a lot of deference and respect for his experience and the way that he basically, gives him room to cook. And they are cooking up some good shit, as James said himself. So I'm excited to see someone with a vision work with someone with an aligning vision and previous experience, and they're kind of working together to build something beautiful. You can kind of see it. He also mentioned that Outsiders is the first time that James was involved in designing the set. So definitely you can feel that experience. And he's got a lot of experience on building those limited draft and sealed experiences. And Outsiders is an excellent job of actually playing to those strengths. So another thing about Living Legend heroes. Before events to start, there's got to be a minimum of 4 Living Legend heroes, as James said. It's not guaranteed, but I think we're pretty close. If Briar hits Living Legend, then we might actually be able to see that. All right, what else we got? Last page. I'll let you guys go. Arcane damage is working as intended. If you leave your shields down, boom, as James said. So someone was asking about, hey, do you think there's any problems with it? And no, it sounds good. On Leviah support, Mansant, I'm sorry, man. You didn't get the answer you're looking for, but you gotta believe. Do you trust me? This is James White asking for you to trust him, and you gotta trust him, man. He's the guy who brought you this guy. Canadian Calling. This is super exciting for me because they basically confirmed that they're working on some events. Starting 2024, we should see some Canadian callings, so that is awesome. Next thing, a diehard Brute fan asked about, when can I get a blue pitch 6 attack? And James White said, you just want this so you can basically be a degenerate piece of shit. He said it a lot nicer, but if you know any diehard Brute players, Calvin, I'm looking at you, that's just, that's all they want. They just want some crazy 6 attack that they can just, also pay for other 6 attacks. So I think that's hilarious. They're really careful about that, and they're aware of how those come out. And then huge thank you to Mansant, and they called them out. I love when they actually treat their, oops, sorry, I gotta block that curse word there. I like when they treat their creators with respect, and this wouldn't be possible without him. And then the last thing they said was, are they gonna censor all of our cursing? And they said, let's make it hard. So fuck. And that's it. That's all you got. That was really awesome video. Highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But the future of this game is looking really bright, and I think it's really cool that they're bringing back support for these sets, and I can't wait to get out to some of these events. Might have to buy a couple boxes of Monarch while they're still around. But that's it. That's what I did today instead of doing my real job. So I hope you appreciate it, and have a fantastic weekend.